The story begins in the world of monsters, exactly on the continent of Arcana where the demon castle is located. At this time, the demon king Barrio's Belphegor known as Shin was sitting on his throne while they were discussing with his minions. According to his subordinate, their next agenda is to burn Hell, a place located in the Ruspel area. While they were discussing, someone screamed, saying they were in danger. It was a tiny octopus named Octuper. Octuper was sweating and seemed to be scared. He wanted to explain what really had happened outside the castle, but he was stuttering. Shin looked at him with annoyance and asked him if he wanted to die. What kind of disrespect? What is it? The demon king's subordinate asked. He is Luke Liberta, ranked 4th in the demon world. Octuper was trembling in fear and was finally able to tell the king that human warriors had invaded their demon castle. Shin becomes silent while Luke says that Octuper maybe lost his mind for saying such words and barging into this room because of some measly humans. What's Nardak doing? Shin asked, and Octuper feels down as he answers the demon king that Nardak was already defeated by humans. Not just Nardak but also their other members named Kane, Sven, and Nardak's whole army. As per Octuper, the human warriors have successfully breached through and are moving at breakneck speed toward the demon castle. Shin still dared to smile and said that it had been a while since humans dared to enter his castle. Then, shall we take a look at who these punks are? He uttered while casting a magic ball to see the human warriors who invaded his castle. But then, upon seeing a familiar human, he suddenly paused and became silent. Luke suddenly walked on the aisle and told Octuper to lead the way. I will deal with this myself, Luke uttered. But then, Shin seemed to be nervous, telling Luke to tell the humans that he was not in his castle right now. Upon hearing what he said, Octuper and Luke were puzzled. Shin stood while Luke was asking him where he was going. But then, Shin didn't give any direct answer and only told Luke, if you dare to harm them in any way, I'll personally kill you. He then opened a portal and left. There's also a notepad dropped after he disappeared. Luke picked it up and there was an instruction to put this note on the door. Luke checked the other note and he doesn't have the choice but to follow the demon king. He put the notes on their castle door and the human warriors saw it. It was stated on the note that the demon king is currently absent, so human warriors should come back next time. A lady in the middle, wearing a red cape, saw the note, and at the same time, Luke saw her and was shocked, wondering why this lady, the demon king's daughter, was now here in the demon castle. A long time ago, Demon King Shin got curious about something. Every time they invaded the human world, people would do everything for their children, promise to protect them, and even offer their own life for the sake of their kids. Because of the Demon King's curiosity, he even asked for the opinion of Luke. He asked if most living beings value their own lives the most, and why those humans act in a contradictory way. Luke also agreed with him, but then he wondered if it's necessary for them to understand those lowly beings. Shin then replied that it would be much easier for them to conquer the human world if they understood human behavior. Luke was surprised to hear these words from the Demon King himself. Sometime after that conversation between Luke and Shin, Luke left to do research and came back right after. He entered the room of Shin with excitement and said that he conducted research on humans. But then, he doesn't have the time to explain it upon seeing Shin holding a baby girl. Shockingly, it was a human. The baby was crying loudly and Luke asked the king about what's this tiny thing in his arms. According to Shin, he found it in the human king's castle. He also said that the baby was crying for a long time and he wondered why. He asked the opinion of Luke, but even Luke was also clueless. Shin then madly ordered him to do whatever he could to stop the baby from crying. Luke panicked as he answered yes and immediately cast his magical flame in front of the baby who was lying in a crib. But then, he cancelled the flame when Shin slammed him on the floor, asking him what he was doing. But your majesty, most humans become silent when they're burnt. Luke answered. He then stood as he heard Shin commanding him to go and figure out the reason for all the crying of the baby. Luke checked the books inside the room while Shin was trying to calm the baby. Luke was throwing away all the books that were useless until he finally found a book with the title, How to Become the Best Dad in the World. He and Shin started reading it and they have found several reasons why babies cry. After seeing these reasons, Shin then decided to check everything. The first is checking if the baby already has wet pants. But upon checking, the baby's diaper is still clean. Shin then used his magic as he decided to eliminate the wet pants problem in the future. He teleports all foreign matter away and then moves to the next reason, which is the baby might be hungry. Luke immediately prepared a meal, which is their usual meal, fresh meat from a Blake Drake that Luke had just killed. Shin was glad that Luke was prepared, but when they tried to give the meat to the baby, she stopped crying as she was startled and loudly cried again. Shin immediately moved the meat away from the baby while Luke read the book and found out that babies drink from the breast. He immediately grabbed the baby and let her sip to his breast. Upon seeing what he did, Shin became more annoyed and ordered Luke to find a feeding bottle. Luckily, Luke had it in an instant. Shin was glad despite the fact that he didn't know any reason why Luke had this thing with him. He then carried the baby and let her sip from the bottle. Still, the baby refused to drink the milk and spit it out. Luke then tried the next way, which was his sleeping magic. He cast it and tried it on the baby, but unfortunately, the baby resisted his spell. Shin then told him to stop trying to spark a rivalry with a baby. They tried another way, not just one but a lot of ways, but it only made the baby more sad and cried a lot. She was crying so loud while both Shin and Luke felt tired trying to find ways. At that time, Shin realizes how parenting works. It hurts his head so much while thinking what should be the reason for this baby crying unstoppable. When he stood and went back to the baby suddenly smiled widely. Shin then found another way he believed would surely work. It was a peekaboo. At first, the baby was confused, but Shin continued doing it and tried to dance the baby. The baby was enjoying it until she felt sleepy. Finally, the baby slept in the arms of Shin. And just like that, he, a demon king, became the dad of a human baby girl. Years passed, and Shin's one of his routines was to go to the human world, exactly at the church to pick up his daughter. His daughter was taught by the priests in the church together with the other kids. One day, Shin entered the church, and the moment the door opened, his daughter immediately turned around, expecting that it was him. Shin instantly smiled every time he heard the kid call him daddy. He opened his arms to ask the child to hug him. He called his daughter his princess and he asked her if she missed him. His daughter would always answer yes, but would also say she understood since she believed her father had a job to attend to. With the little girl's thoughtfulness, Shin becomes touched and hugs his daughter and even imagines quitting his title as the Demon King. "I feel indebted to you each time I go on a business trip," Shin said to the priest. The priest then told him not to worry at all and also stated that Selene, his daughter, is always welcome to the search since she's a good and smart kid. At that time, Selene already had a clear understanding, so she was very proud of himself every time the priests complimented her. After talking to the priest, Selene and Shin had planned to eat pasta as Selene's reward for being a good daughter. Shin was about to hold hands with his daughter and told her they should head back home, but his daughter said no, since there's still a thing they would always do before leaving the church. That is to pray to Tirsa, the goddess of generosity and mercy. Shin doesn't have a choice but to do what his daughter wants. But he cannot believe he, the Demon King, is praying to the god of heaven. While the priest and Selene were praying, they noticed that Shin was silent, so they looked at Shin and Shin immediately followed the words of prayer. Hearing him pray makes the priest and Selene very happy. All of a sudden, someone reported that there was a danger coming. To be exact, there is a demon outside the church. The church was confused about how it happened since he was sure he put a barrier using divine power. Shin felt the guilt since he was the culprit, the one who destroyed the barrier. He got rid of it as it annoys him. The demon is a boar and is heading inside the church. The head priest then instructed everyone to evacuate to the underground chapel. The human rattled and the boar had entered before they could run away. "You weak humans, your attempt to escape is quite amusing," the boar uttered, but he was cut off upon seeing someone familiar inside the church. It's none other than the ruler of the demon world, the Demon King, Shin. As he was staring at the Demon King, he saw the clear aura of the Demon King and he questioned himself the reason why the king was inside the church together with some other people. The people continued running away while Shin and his daughter remained standing. Shin was expressionless, wondering why the boar was also here. As he was staring at the boar, he felt that his daughter was trembling. He looked at his daughter and saw the little girl very frightened, which annoyed him. "Are you scared?" he asked while wiping Selene's tears. He then told Selene that they should now play a game together. Selene wondered about what game they should play in this kind of time, and as per Shin, she just needed to count numbers with her eyes closed until he would tell her to stop. He promised that the boar would fall asleep if Selene didn't make a mistake. He chose the word asleep knowing that his daughter would think of him as a criminal if he said he would kill it. He then bumped his head into Selene's head and told her to trust her. Selene said yes with clenched fists and immediately closed her eyes and started to count. While she was counting, Shin walked away from her and went in front of the boar. The boar was scared the moment it saw Shin activate his power. Shin then pushed away the boar with his ability and the boar flew away back to the outside of the church. Upon seeing his strength, the people who witnessed what he did were jaw-dropping. At the same time, Selene had reached 4 and Shin told her to stop. Shin then showed his daughter the dead boar and Selene was impressed while saying that the boar really fell asleep. "What did I tell you? Isn't your dad amazing?" Shin said, and Selene then answered that he was the best daddy. Upon hearing it, Shin feels that his heart was pierced, causing critical damage that makes him vomit blood. He then invited his daughter to go back home, but then Selene got curious as to why there was blood coming out of his mouth. But before Shin could answer, people behind them called him and asked if he was a hero. Shin was confused knowing that he wasn't a hero but a demon king. On the other hand, Selene was surprised and seemed to wish that her father would answer yes. At this young age, she already knew that heroes protect those weak and defeat the bad villains. She also explained to her dad that it was the priest who taught them about heroes and that heroes are strong apostles of justice. Shin at that time didn't know what to say. He was sweating as he answered, "I guess so." Selene repeated the question, which pressures Shin. To end the conversation about heroes, he then answered yes and loudly said, "This dad of yours is a hero of justice." Hero Shin. The priests were all surprised as they could not believe there was a hero with them. They said that they had heard the name Hero Shin before, but they didn't know Shin only made it up. And that's how he was named as Shin in this story. Selene called him to say that she also wants to become a hero like her father Shin. Shin was dumbfounded as he didn't know what he would do if that happened, knowing that he was the Demon King. After Selene said those words, she immediately ran to her father and hugged him tight while saying that she loved him the most in the entire world. Shin was emotional. He grabbed Selene's shoulder and said that he also loved her the most in the entire world. He widely smiles at his daughter as he feels thrilled since he never expected to be attached to a daughter like Selene. Selene then also said that there are two things she hates the most in the entire world. Shin asked her what it could be and she looked at her father's eyes the same as Shin to her. Shin then heard his daughter's answer, stating that she hates those liars and also the Demon King. Selene then pushed Shin on the floor and she stood in front of her father while clenching her fists. "Aren't you both of them, Dad? So don't be too heartbroken. It's only fair that you die by my hands because I'm a hero," she said. Shin screamed after hearing it, but then he found himself in his room, so he concluded he was just dreaming. Upon hearing his scream, Luke then came to him and asked if he was fine or perhaps if he was worried about something. But then, Shin only told him to wear some clothes to look presentable. After a few seconds, he cannot hold himself but to ask the opinion of Luke about heroes. Luke laughed and said that heroes are foolish bastards who don't even know their plans. But before he could say more, Shin punched him in the face and said, "How dare you look down on my daughter's dream?" The punch was too strong, which made Luke fall on the floor and feel like his soul came out from his body. He cannot believe that the Demon King suddenly punched him without any valid reason. Shin then apologized to him and reasoned that his hands moved on their own. His daughter then suddenly entered and called him. Shin got very excited, pushing away Luke and running to Selene with a wide smile. He tried to hug Selene, but Selene was so curious about what happened to Luke. "Why is Mr. Lulu lying over there?" she asked, and Shin then commanded Luke to get up. Luke got up and was about to greet the kid, but he got ignored since Selene told her dad that she scolded some bad kids outside for hurting her cat. Luke was so upset by the fact that he got ignored again. Selene then proudly said that she would try even harder to become an amazing hero. For Shin, he knew he could not stop his daughter's dream, so he told her to do what she wished to become. At the same time, Luke had for the first time discovered that Selene wanted to become a hero. He then thinks of a reason why, then deduces that it may be because the Demon King would plant the little girl as a spy among the other heroes to gather information. "I have been enlightened, Your Majesty, I mean Master. I will personally train the young miss and raise her to become a brilliant hero," he stated, but then Shin ordered him to leave. They both then went to the Demon Castle together to discuss the case. Luke got a lump on his head as he was punished by Shin for acting recklessly. Luke kneeled in front of Shin and admitted his mistakes. Shin then told him to forget about it, but instead, think of the right measures, a way to make his daughter give up on her dream to become a hero. Luke then said that it might be better if they would leave things as they are. A dream is nothing more than a dream, and there are very few humans who are reborn as heroes. He added, but then, Shin doesn't want to let his daughter be a hero and become his enemy one day. Because of the determination of Selene, she helped those in need. She helped an old man by removing a huge rock in the way. She also caught a huge insect without knowing that it wasn't a monster. The fortune teller even said that Selene has the face of a true hero. Everything Selene had done at her age made Shin believe that Selene really fit to become a hero since her talent was on another level. That time, he decided to stop his daughter from becoming a hero no matter what. He and Luke were thinking of a way, and Luke suggested wiping out all of humanity as he believed that if it happened, the concept of heroes will naturally disappear. Do you also want to naturally disappear? Suggest something sensible and useful. Shin replied. Luke then checked the books inside, searching for a useful one while complaining about why the Demon King hates only him. He was throwing the book behind and there was a book landed below Shin. Shin picked it up and brought the book into the human world, exactly to their house. It was already night, the sleep time of Selene. Shin was holding the book and asked the kid if she wanted him to read a book before going to sleep. Selene asked if the story is all about heroes, and yes, she was right. The book had the title, Collection of Hero Stories. Once upon a time, there lived a hero in a village, and that hero died. But the villagers lived happily ever after even without the hero. And that's how the story ends. As expected, Selene doesn't like how the story goes, so she demands another story. Shin then read another story and it goes like this. Once upon a time, there lived a hero. The hero heard a rumor about an evil demon king and went to the demon king's castle. The hero defeated the demon king. The people rejoiced and the hero became the king. But the hero who had become the king made life difficult for people by exploiting them and showing unruly behavior. But one day, another demon king showed up and defeated the hero. That demon king became the new king and helped the people find peace again. Still, Selene didn't like the story and told her father to stop reading the book anymore, instead saying something about himself. She was very curious to know more about her dad since he said he was a strong hero. Shin then said that he was really a strong hero. Selene then asked if he had already met the demon king and he answered he did. Selene becomes excited to hear more and he asks her father if he ever fought against the demon king. And Shin replied yes. Who is stronger, the demon king or you? Selene asked, but Shin flinched as he didn't know how to answer it anymore. In the end, he told Selene to always remember that her dad is really strong but the demon king is much stronger. Selene becomes disappointed, which makes Shin sad. He then told the little girl not to meet the demon king since the demon king is a very strong being. But then, Selene said that she would do everything to become stronger and avenge his father. Shin was speechless as he could not imagine that his lovable daughter would be his enemy someday. He told Selene that there was no need for revenge, but then Selene told him to trust her. In the end, his plan of making Selene change her mind by telling her stories about heroes is a complete failure. When Shin left his daughter's room, Selene then opened her diary and noted everything that happened. She said in her diary that her dad read her stories about heroes but it made absolutely no sense. She also put in her diary that she asked her dad instead to say something about himself and only said that the demon king was too strong for him to defeat. And with that, she thinks her father is afraid of the demon king. That's why she told him that she'd become even stronger and defeat the demon king. Her father cried that she thought tears of joy after saying it, and she was so happy too. From that day, she made up her mind to become a great warrior for her father. She then closed her diary. She then fell asleep and Shin went back to her room and was shocked to read her diary for the day. After a few days during the night, Shin checked his daughter in the living room. Selene was busy doing something and said that it was done the moment Shin entered. She then turned around and told her dad to look at what she made. Shin checked it out, but then it was only Selene's plan to become a hero someday. The first thing is to do something good every day. The second thing is to study for an hour every day. And third is to train stamina every day. Selene proudly told her dad that this was her plan to become a hero, and she would start her training the day after. She then ran to her room to sleep since she was too excited for her training. At that time, Shin becomes mad. He teleported to the demon castle and blamed Luke for failing his task to stop Selene. As per Luke, they had made 43 attempts in total and failed 43 times. Shin then said angrily that he would not tolerate failure on the 44th attempt. Because of his anger, he attacked Luke but intentionally never hit him. Luke was trembling in fear while Shin walked away, ordering Luke to arrange an immediate meeting with the top demons and make sure to summon all heads. The next day in the morning, Selene woke up too early. She instantly remembers her planned training, so she immediately gets up to prepare. Shin and the top demons had another plan to stop Selene. All their preparations are complete. All that is left is to execute the plan. After half an hour, Selene finished everything and was ready to leave. She was biting bread while informing her father that she was leaving to do some good deeds. Shin permitted her, but as she opened the door, she was surprised as she saw something unusual. The commander of the Demon Army's 5th Corps, the commander general of the Demon Army's Special Force, the commander of the Demon Army's 3rd Corps, the commander general of the Demonic Beast Training Corps, and the head of Succubi were at the human world doing good stuff to people who need help so that Selene couldn't find anyone who needs help. Selene was searching for people who needed help, and since she paused for a minute, Shin thought everything worked according to their plan. But then, Selene saw an old lady who she thought needed help, so she pointed to the lady and ran toward her to help. Shin panicked as he wouldn't let his daughter do good deeds. He immediately ran, passed through his daughter, and helped the old lady. Selene found another one and Shin ran to the man again as fast as he could just to avoid his daughter from helping. He also helped a cat, another guy, and more people near their house. After everything he had done, he felt so exhausted and felt like he burned the candles on both ends. He somehow managed to prevent Selene from doing a good deed, but it ended up that he's the one who does good deeds on behalf of his daughter. While he was resting, Selene suddenly touched his shoulders and offered him a back message, knowing that her father was tired of helping. Shin was so happy with the kindness of his daughter. Not until Selene said she finally made something good. He feels like he was struck knowing that Selene helped one person because of him. Meanwhile, Selene decided to do self-study, so she told her father not to disturb her. Shin then said yes and wished her good luck in studying. Shin then comes out from their study room and one of his men is outside waiting for him as they have another plan to do. This man stole a secret scroll from humans and infiltrated enemy lines and sabotaged them countless times. He opened the scroll and gave life to the fly from it. This fly can disrupt someone's concentration. It entered the study room of Selene to disturb the kid and Shin expected it would work, but then Selene easily snapped the fly and she successfully completed number 2 of her plan for the day to become a hero. Since she completed number 1 and 2 of her plan, Shin was so upset since the only thing left was Selene's stamina training to complete everything. He smiled as he believed there was no need for him to worry about the third agenda of Selene. Selene made a drawing of a mountain and informed her dad she would climb the mountain by tomorrow. Selene told him the route she would take in advance, which would be straight ahead from their village entrance, and then take a left so he could find a speed bump in the front side. The day after, Shin ordered his minions to block the way to the mountain. They put a repelling barrier, demonic monsters on the bush, and a stone increases 10 times when touched. They also put a note that the road is under construction. The place had lots of various obstacles on her path. Selene prepares to climb the mountain. She bids goodbye to her father and Shin then also tells her to be careful along the way. He was laughing while his daughter was leaving as he believed no one would complete the route. After Selene came out, she found out that it was raining. That is why she decided to train at home since she doesn't have another choice. Today's training is done, she uttered after an hour of training. She completed her number 3 plan and all the plans of Shin and the other demons ended in failure. Selene's training to become a hero continued even after that. And time flew by. Selene was accepted into a hero academy at the age of 16. She transformed herself into a different lady, exactly like a hero. That dreaded day finally arrived, which Shin doesn't want to happen. When Selene nearly became a hero, Shin cried and hugged her. Selene thought he cried only because he was happy with what she achieved. Aside from that, he cried because Selene needed to leave home since Hero Academy is actually a boarding school. Selene touched his face while he was crying, telling him to stop. Still, Shin can't stop his sadness. To calm him down, Selene promised to visit him during the holidays. Shin agreed, but he was still in pain, so he cried more and more. That day, Luke came to their home just to send armor to the lady so the lady wouldn't need to worry about getting hurt. But then, Selene refused to wear it. Both of you worry too much. I may look like this, but I was accepted into the academy via recommendation, Selene stated. Selene looked at the clock and found out that it was about time. She immediately bids goodbye to both Shin and Luke, and both men are crying knowing that Selene has grown too fast and can now handle herself on her own. Selene was too excited by the fact that this time was the beginning of her journey to becoming a hero. After Selene left, both men then went to their demon castle. Luke then reported to Shin that he received news of a hero who recently invaded the Krata area. This hero broke through the Canyon of Death all by himself and is said to be making his way through the Plane of Silence. However, judging from this hero's travel direction, Luke believes that this man isn't heading to their demon castle. While Luke was discussing, Shin was not responding at all. Luke suggested he take a short break, but Shin's eyes suddenly glared at him, which made him frightened. Shin's aura comes out from his body, so Luke immediately apologizes as he thought he angered the Demon King. But then, Shin turned out to be disturbed by the thought that his daughter Selene might be bullied at the Hero Academy. He was worried for the sake of his daughter as he heard the use of violence, which is quite extreme at the academy. Luke then told him that he guessed Selene would be fine in the academy. He then cleared his throat and continued to discuss the matter about the hero who wanders around the Krata area, likely with the intention of finding valuable items to snatch for money. Still, Shin wasn't listening as he was busy looking at the photo of Selene, saying that he has a cute daughter, which made Luke think that Shin really was not listening to him. Well, at least he seems to have some skills seeing how he's moving around the Krata area alone, Shin stated. He flinched as he remembered Luke mentioned that this hero was a skilled hero. According to Luke, among those who have invaded the Krata area, this hero definitely belongs to the stronger ones. But for whatever reason, he managed to break through the demon's defense line and made it as far as the Krata area. While explaining, Luke was full of anger and suddenly activated his flaming skill, burned the paper he was holding, and screamed, "The Demon Corps commander who let him tarnish the Demon King's honor will take responsibility." But then, he was cut off when Shin said there was no need for it. Shin stood and recalled that Luke said this hero was really currently on the plane of silence. I should go and check him out myself, he added. After several hours, Selene was still riding the carriage heading to the Hero Academy. She was sleeping deeply not until the carriage stumbled to a rock. Her sleep was destroyed and she found she was the only passenger left. He was carrying his sword and immediately told the coachman that she needed to get off. She panicked, so she accidentally destroyed the roof of the carriage since it was only made of wood. The coachman was shocked and Selene didn't deny that she caused the trouble. The coachman then ordered her to compensate the damage and Selene answered yes, despite that her money would only be enough for her expenses. At this moment, she's already at the Shello's kingdom, which is also the city of all heroes, Arca. Selene entered with excitement since this was a part of her dream. I've finally reached the city of the Hero Academy. This is the start of Hero Selene's adventures, Selene uttered. But her excitement was gone when her tummy growled. She decided to eat and suddenly smelled food nearby. She followed the smell and found out that it came from the smell of bread. The buttery and sweet smell reminds her of a soft crumb and crunchy crust reminds her of the same bread she always ate. When she gets near, she realizes that she's right, it's a honey butter baguette. There is also a salted butter roll which makes her more hungry. The chef of the store then called the next customer in line and it was Selene. She was drooling while staring at the food in front of her and the chef believed she was already so hungry. The chef asked what she wanted and before she could answer, she checked her wallet first, but unfortunately, she didn't have anything left. She then realizes that she had used all of her money just to compensate the carriage owner. She was so sad as she told the store owner that she would come back again next time. As she was walking, she felt so dizzy. She was holding her tummy since she really felt so hungry and she felt she might faint from hunger. All of a sudden, a cat carrying bread passes through her. The first thing she noticed was the bread, so she followed the cat and saw that there was a young boy feeding cats in the street. The boy said that there was still more bread left, so he would divide it into the 3 cats in front of him. There is a white cat, a black cat, and a brown cat. They meowed and Selene did the same thing. She also meowed just to catch the attention of the young boy. This is what hunger makes her do. The young boy was shocked by her actions, but he understood that Selene also felt hungry. After a while, Selene already ate a lot because of the boy's help. There's still bread in her while she was asking the boy if it's really alright for her to eat lots of the bread. The boy answered yes, since Selene also ate most of the bread. They were both sitting and Selene was very glad that she felt alive again after eating. She then gave thanks to the boy and said that he was really a nice guy. The boy blushed and he was stuttering as he said he was not. Selene then asked about his age since she believed this kid was also around her age. The boy seemed to be shy and he answered 16. Selene then said she knew it and told him that they both should be friends since she's also 16. You want to be friends just because we're the same age? The boy asked, and Selene answered, of course. Plus, you shared your bread with me. The boy seemed to be not happy at all. At this time, Selene noticed something in his inner pocket. But they didn't have the chance to talk about it since there were people who came and the lady called him by the name, Silur. Silur immediately stood and apologized to the lady, addressing her as Miss. Silur then told Selene that he needed to go. He walked away while Selene still wanted to ask more questions, but she could not force the boy to stay a little bit longer. The boy then leaves together with the lady. When did you start spending time with people of lower status? We still have a lot to prepare. We're late, let's hurry, the lady said. And Silur answered, yes, mother. While they were leaving, Selene was staring at them. She knew that the envelope she saw from Silur had the seal belonging to the Hero Academy, so she smiled, believing that she and Silur would meet once again soon. She then stood and stretched her body. She grips his sword and says that she should now head to the Hero Academy. While she was leaving, Silur took a glimpse of her. Meanwhile, at the Hero Academy, lots of students were already outside. There was an old man checking the people from the window and saying that there are a lot of students worth keeping an eye on this term. He was the academy's headmaster. He was checking the hero candidate and found the presence of Dom's mage family from the Shello's king. There was also a girl with pink hair sitting on the man's shoulder. She's Ronia de Raffels, the Count Raffels's genius mage daughter. The man below her is Ronan, his guardian. A man with flaming power and a scar on his eye is also present. He belongs to one of the big 4 mercenary groups, the Valiant Mercenary Group, and a rank mercenary named Harcus. A former Saintess candidate was also present. She's Chloe de Arshabath. There were also the students belonging to powerful species, Leo from the Wolf tribe, Shan from the Dark Elf, and Olaf from the Dwarf. From the Luotine Kingdom's swordsman family, Leck de Annis, Duke Anna's second son, was also present. The coordinator was searching for more known people and then saw Silur de Jin, Duke Jin's son, the true power behind the Luotine Kingdom. The old man was staring at Silur, then saw someone heading to the kid. He was so confused the moment he saw Leck. "Yo, who is this? Aren't you my long-time friend, Silur?" Leck said, and hearing his voice made Silur startled and nervous upon seeing him. Leck is with his friends his age, and they said that there is a rumor about Silur entering the Hero Academy. "But why did you enter the academy? Were you always this interested in heroes?" Leck asked. Silur was still nervous to answer. Leck then concludes that Silur is thinking about becoming the next family head after making a name for himself as a hero. Silur didn't give any response. He remained silent while the three men made fun of him and even said that he wasn't fit to be a hero as he was the son of a concubine. Silur was sad listening to their accusation, but he cannot even fight for himself. "You might be from the Jin family, but you're practically viewed as non-existent within your own family," the man said, and they all laughed. "You are nothing more than a puppet, bidding to your greedy mother's every whim, you idiot," Leck uttered, which made Silur cry. All of a sudden, Selene came, running too fast, and stomped at Leck while saying that she was now safe. Silur was trembling in fear, thinking that Leck must have gone mad because of Selene's humiliation. Selene was very calm and even dared to joke around that she might have run into something. She greeted Silur while Silur asked her to get off from Leck first. The people around witnessed what happened, and even the academy's coordinator saw it with his own eyes. He wondered who this student was who dared to humiliate Leck. He checked the student's information and found out Selene's paper. In her paper, she was only a commoner recommended by someone named Baron, the girl who sent the second son of a swordsman family flying with one hit, Selene, from the countryside. At the same time, in the Demon King's territory, Shin already found the hero who invaded the Krata area. The hero was eager to fight against him. He jumped towards Shin, aiming to end Shin's life, but then he flew away after Shin hit him once. He lay down on the ground and was unconscious. Shin doubts that this was the skilled hero Luke mentioned, since it seemed like this guy wasn't strong enough. Shin tried to wake the hero up since he was planning to order this guy to do something for him. The Annie's ducal family are the co-founders of the Luotin Kingdom, a family of swordsmen that has brought forth competent knights. As the second son of such a prestigious family, his natural talent for swordsmanship had made him someone who met all expectations. However, this time, someone humiliates him, which is Selene. He was so mad, asking him who dared to insult him in front of everyone. Then, he was dumbfounded the moment he discovered that it was a girl who attacked him. He cannot believe that he was knocked by a lady in just one hit. Silur and Selene held hands while Silur asked her why she was here. Selene then informs him that she's a new student in this hero academy. Silur then said that he was surprised by everything, including how Selene attacked Leck. Selene then heard Leck call her angrily. "What are you?" Leck asked, and Selene thought this would be her new friend, so she said her name. "Nobody asks for your name. You must have a reason for suddenly running at me like that," Leck said while pulling Selene's cape. Selene then realizes that Leck is the one she ran into a moment ago. She told Leck that she only thought it was just a fly since she didn't feel much resistance. Leck felt insulted. Selene's words seemed to be pierced in his chest. He was so annoyed that he was like a fly to Selene. He then called his two friends and asked their opinion, as he believed Selene was picking a fight with him. "She should be scolded for fearlessly picking a fight with you. Isn't that right, Marco?" his friend Nord replied. But then, Marco didn't give an answer since he was mesmerized by the beauty of Selene. His face blushed as he was staring at the lady. His perspective is that Selene is the most pretty and brave girl in this academy. He fell in love in an instant, so Nord told him to get a grip. At the same time, Leck was disappointed and told himself that he shouldn't have expected anything from the beginning. Silur interferes, telling Leck that everything is only a mistake, so he must let go of Selene. But then, Leck didn't like his idea and asked him when he had the guts to be able to stand his way. "I think I have to educate you properly first," Leck added. But Chloe came in their middle and told them to stop arguing. She then grabbed both men and leaned their cheeks on her breasts, while saying that they couldn't have their future heroes fighting each other on their very first day. She told them both to get along, but both men stayed away from her, and Leck thought this lady was crazy. Leck asked who she was, and Chloe then answered that she was the apostle of Irene, goddess of peace, Chloe de Alshabeth. She told them to address her Chloe. Leck was staring at her, realizing that Chloe was the Holy See of Ruden's Saintess candidate. At this moment, he wondered how this lady ended up at this hero academy. Chloe then told them to make up since the welcome ceremony was about to begin. "Yo, Silur, let's have a talk when we have time," Leck said, and looked back to Selene, telling her the same. He then walked away with Nord and Marco, leaving Chloe in annoyance for not listening to her. After a few minutes, one of the academy's instructors called everyone's attention. Good job coming here from all over the continent. I'm Instructor Mused. I'll be conducting your level test. Instructor Mused stated. Selene seemed to be clueless, but luckily, a man suddenly came beside her at a fast speed, believing that Selene didn't have any idea about the level test. His name is Wigan, and according to him, the level test is just as the name says, a test to evaluate their individual skills and rank them. It could be bronze, it could be silver, it could be gold, it could be platinum, or even a diamond, which is a total of 5 ranks. He also added that the higher the rank they receive, the bigger the pool of divisions they can choose from. The exact evaluation of criteria is at the discretion of the instructors, but your fighting, judgment, and cooperation skills are important evaluation factors, and failing the test means that their acceptance is cancelled, so they must keep it on their mind as per Wigan. What? You're asking what the divisions are? He said, but then as per Selene, she didn't ask about it. Still, Wigan decided to explain it to Selene as he really believed Selene was curious. At the same time, the other students around were shocked by the level test since they were only expecting to have a welcome ceremony. Muse had told them all that they had received the right to be in this academy through a recommendation by a trustworthy person or a separate selection process. However, he only believes in the things he has seen with his very own eyes. He said that if these students officially want to enter the Hero Academy, they have to personally prove their qualifications to become a hero. He suddenly jumped on the ground and broke the ground instantly. He then stood and instructed students to leave all their belongings, except for their equipment, and follow him. Everyone followed his command and heard him add that they could take their belongings and go back home once they could not prove themselves that they could be a hero. Mused then stopped nearby and activated 5 portals. He declared that the first test would be a dungeon clearing. According to him, these 5 portals each lead to a mine, a forest, a plain, a fortress, or an underground labyrinth. These 5 are known as virtual dungeons as per Mused. The test will be conducted in teams. Forming a good and balanced team is an ability a hero needs to have. Within a time span of 10 minutes, they must get together in teams of 4 and decide on the dungeon they want to challenge. After Musta gave them instructions, Selene, Silur, and Chloe decided to team up, but they still needed one. Silur got nervous with both Chloe and Selene as his teammates. Chloe held his face and asked him if he didn't like them as his team. No, that's not what I meant. We haven't even introduced ourselves to one another and we don't know anything about each other, Silur replied. Chloe and Selene immediately introduced themselves and Silur did the same thing. The 3 then discussed who would be their last member, but at the same time, Silur wanted to discuss each other's skills and specialty as he believed that in that way they could choose a dungeon and develop a rough strategy of how they can best deal with the dungeon. Since he felt too shy to give his opinion, he decided to deduce everything from their weapons. First is Selene. He noticed Selene's great sword, and based on the strength she demonstrated earlier with Leck, Silur believes she's perfect as a vanguard. Next is Chloe, a saintess whom he believes would fulfill the role of a support. Silur was calculating their team balance so that he could say what position they needed the most. But then, before he could think, he heard both Selene and Chloe say that their 4 spots were filled. It was the dark elf, Shin. Finally, their team has been completed, consisting of Selene, Chloe, Silur, and Shin. Lastly, they need to pick a portal. She picked it using Eeny Miny Miny Moo, which annoys Silur the most. They then entered and must have found out that this team was at the fortress dungeon. It can be cleared easily if one has the eye for it, but there's no straightforward solution. The clear condition in this dungeon is to defeat the lord of the fortress. Selene was so excited knowing that the level test had finally begun. But on the other hand, Silur was very nervous. He asked Selene if she had a plan, and Selene screamed as she answered, "We enter the fortress, find the lord, and kill him." Silur turned his head around as they noticed something. They saw a gate and Silur tried to think of a plan. He concludes that the creek is flowing towards the fortress and he believes they can infiltrate the castle by following the waterway, then find the lord and kill him. He widely smiled as he was about to say his plan, but he was cut off when Selene suddenly disappeared. He asked where Selene was and Chloe then pointed to the area where was heading. Selene was holding his sword, headed to the gate. She jumped so high and lifted up her sword. The monster instantly saw Selene and wondered what she was trying to do. Selene was screaming while aiming at the gate. For Silur, there's no way Selene could break down the gates with a sword. But surprisingly, Selene managed to make it. Silur was jaw-dropping while Shan remained silent. At the same time, Chloe was very proud to see Selene's ability. "I cleared the way. Come on," Selene said. But Silur suddenly got nervous and told Selene to look behind her. Selene was confused as to why without knowing that there were hundreds of monsters behind her. The monsters headed to Selene, and Selene was startled to see lots of monsters. On the other hand, Silur understood that Selene is extremely powerful, but now he cannot deny that enemies are overwhelming in number. He was nervous, unlike Chloe. Chloe tied her hair while smiling and said that it was now her time to step forward. She winked at Silur, and Silur smiled at her and said that he would leave the supporting spells in her hands. But then, he was shocked when Chloe used a knuckle to fight. He was so confused and panicked upon seeing Chloe heading to the monster to fight. The monsters were so mad by the fact that the humans destroyed the fortress wall. But they were all positive that they could defeat Selene since they never expected Selene to have companions. Selene then charged at the monster in front of her while saying that she would use a secret technique. She casts a great sword swing and hits several monsters. The monster flew away and Selene continued to attack. He then heard someone informing her that there was a monster behind her to look behind. A goblin was aiming at her with a mace and proudly said he got a human. Selene closed her eyes since it was too close, but lucky for her Chloe appeared and attacked the goblin to save Selene. You're supposed to say that after you actually get them, Chloe said. Selene was looking at her and she then said that she came to help her. Selene then smiled back at her and continued to fight the monsters. Selene used her consecutive swings secret technique, and while they were fighting, neither Silur nor Shan didn't have a plan to help. Shan even sleeps deeply despite that she is standing. After a few minutes of fighting, Selene noticed someone huge behind him. Who dares to destroy my fortress? The gigantic monster asked who Selene believed was the lord of the fortress. She then charged to the fortress lord and cast her secret technique. The fortress lord was dumbfounded and Selene then attacked him with her jump and slammed down the great sword technique. In just one attack, the fortress lord fell to the ground and admitted that Selene really had a powerful secret technique. Since this lord was easily defeated by Selene, Selene then concludes that he is not the fortress lord. The minions of the fortress lord were telling their ruler that Selene's attack wasn't a secret technique at all. On the other hand, Instructor Musad and Silur were both surprised to see Selene easily defeat the Lord of the Fortress. Elimination of the Lord of the Fortress is easily completed, and the fortress dungeon has been cleared. Selene instantly challenged the Lord by breaking down the fortress gates. After clearing the dungeon, the four immediately exited. Their team was the first one who cleared the test, and even Musad was speechless since it was his first time seeing a strategy similar to the strategy of Selene. He was staring at Selene, wondering about her information. At the same time in the demon's castle, Luke reported to Shin that the hero finally woke up. At this moment, the team of Leck was facing the boss of the plain dungeon, King Lycanthrope. Lycanthrope roared in anger for invading his dungeon. The four were calm while planning on how to defeat Lycan. Nord suggested they must surround Lycan in a square formation, but then Leck doesn't have any plans to listen at all. He instantly charged at Lycan without any words and attacked Lycan with his Blitzhau technique. Leck killed Lycan in an instant, which surprised the three companions of Leck surprised. After that, the elimination of King Lycan has been completed and the plain dungeon has been cleared. They then exited the portal, and the people who had witnessed how Leck killed King Lycan in one strike were all impressed. Leck at the same time proudly walked as he expected that the first place of dungeon clearing belonged to him. But upon checking the board, he saw that the first who cleared a dungeon was Selene's team, which was around 5 minutes and 26 seconds. The second team is Leck's team and Ronia's team, which was a tie around 5 minutes and 40 seconds clear time. Leck was so upset that he was in second place. He looked on his side as he heard Selene showing how happy she was for being in first place. Second place on the first test, that's a good start. Nord said. It's all thanks to Leck. Marco added. Leck suddenly lifted up Nord by the neck as he didn't like how Nord casually said it's a good start for them as a second placer. Someone like Silur was ranked higher than us and you call it a good start. Thanks to me, he said with anger. Nord then told him that what was in his mind wasn't what meant to say. Leck then warned him to watch his words and remember the one who brought him all this way here. He then dropped Nord on the ground and Nord was trembling in pain while saying sorry to Leck. Leck really felt he was insulted by his comrades for being the second placer. He cannot accept that Selene and Silur are above his place. He walked towards Selene and Selene turned her head on her side since she felt someone heading to her. It was Leck, but Ronia was also with her and they both pointed their finger at Selene. They were confused and looked at each other. At the same time, Selene wondered what's the problem of both Ronia and Leck. In the end, Leck and Ronia pointed their fingers at each other and asked the same question of what they wanted to happen. I have something to talk about with her, so don't disturb us and piss off, you yellow fly. Ronia angrily answered. My matter is more urgent, so you should piss off, kid. Leck said. Ronia feels that she was pierced when Leck called her a kid. She becomes mad, but Leck dares to repeat it. Ronia was full of anger against Leck, so she activated her power and angrily asked Leck if she really looked like a kid to him. She charged at Leck with her flame and tried to attack him. But surprisingly, Selene was able to block her and Leck and stop them from arguing. She told them not to fight, but both Leck and Ronia were dumbfounded by the fact that Selene stopped their magic and sword. At this moment, someone pulled Ronia. It was Roman, her guardian. "Oh my, it seems like our Ronia caused you some trouble. I apologize," Roman said, and Ronia was mad at him, asking him what he was doing. She kept on ordering Roman to put her down while punching his cheek, but Roman refused to follow her. Ronia pointed at Selene and gave Selene a warning that she would take the first place next time. Roman then puts a lollipop to Ronia's mouth to make her stop blabbering, but she still talks, telling Roman that she won't get away with him next time. They then walked away while Chloe giggled to see Ronia's cuteness. On the other hand, Leck was scratching his head and sighed. He then told Selene to enjoy being the first place, as he believed it would be the first and last of Selene. He also concludes that the next tasks will bring different results. Selene only looked at him without giving any response. Leck then stared at Silur and Silur trembled in fear. Leck walked away while telling Silur to make sure to make a good team. The worst thing he said to Silur is that Silur would be a nuisance from the other team members' perspective. Silur, as usual, didn't give any response. Leck then walked away without Selene and Chloe, knowing that Silur was mistreated by Leck once again. After an hour, Musid congratulates everyone for finishing the first level test. He then showed the results to everyone and said that all the teams who didn't manage to pass this test would have their acceptance cancelled immediately. But luckily, no teams failed in the first level test as per Musid. Everyone felt relief, and Musid then started to move forward to the next task. According to him, the result of the next task will be different. Selene, Leck, and Ronia were waiting for the declaration of the second test. And as per Musid, the second test would be to capture the flag. Let's go back to the demon's castle for now. The captured hero woke up and found himself in an unfamiliar place. He was checking the surroundings, wondering where he was. He then heard the demon's voice asking him if he was finally awake. The hero immediately stood and was startled to see a demon right in front of him, sitting on the throne. Shin was just staring at him, and he then recalled that it was Shin who beat him earlier. Now, he discovered that Shin is indeed a high-level demon. Shin then said that he was a higher-level demon, not just a high-level demon. The hero then asked if he was a top-level demon, and Shin told him that it was higher than the top-level demon. The hero said that Shin might be one of the 4 heavenly demons, but Shin still told him higher. He then said that he now finally knew. "You are the one who has to follow all kinds of orders from the cruel and hot-headed Demon King, the assistant of the Demon King whose efforts are never acknowledged, Luke," the hero stated while pointing his index finger to Shin. At this moment, Shin believes that this hero is just pretending not to know him. "Alright, why has the mighty Demon King captured me?" the hero asked. Shin then directly answered that it was because he had a deal to offer. A deal with the devil. "So that's what this is," the hero uttered. He then asked Shin what happened once he declined. Shin didn't say any response, but he raised his fist and beat up the man once again. Since the hero cannot fight back, he decides to accept Shin's offer. Shin then showed the picture of his daughter to the hero and proudly said that his daughter was very pretty. At the same time, in the Hero Academy, they went to a different location to do the second test. Musid was holding an artifact and told the students that each team would receive this artifact for them to be able to see a map with the location of the flags upon activation. Only by bringing it to the designated place will it count as capturing a flag. Each red dot represents a flag. Since this map is kept up to date, it shouldn't be hard to find the flags as per instructor Musid. Each team has to collect at least a total of 4 flags to pass the test. Selene and her team were too excited, hoping to get first place again. One student raised his hand and said that the number of flags seemed a bit low compared to the number of students. Musid was glad that someone noticed it. According to him, there are 120 students and 80 total flags. Only 80 students will pass the test. All 40 students who don't capture a flag will fail. Their admission will be revoked and they can pack their things and go home as per Musid. The students got nervous knowing that 40 students to be revoked was too much. Instructor Musid then permitted them to ask more questions, but no one dared to ask, so he believed everything had been cleared to everyone. But after a few seconds, the rank mercenary, Harcus, raised his hand. Musid then allowed him to speak and he asked if killing is allowed in this second test. Selene gets terrified by the question of Harcus and everyone stares at Harcus in confusion. Musid at the same time questions him why he wants to know. And Harcus then said that he was just asking if there is a penalty for killing someone to take their flag. This test is about taking and getting flags taken. so there is no penalty for doing that," Musad said. He got off the stage and walked towards Harcus. "However, seeing how you're thinking about killing someone nonchalantly, I'm beginning to doubt your qualification to become a hero," Musad added. Harcus then told him not to worry, as he was just asking since he believed all sorts of tragic accidents could happen during this capture the flag test. Musad then understood his point and went back to the stage. Still, Selene was scared as he detected Harcus as a villain. She remained silent while staring at Harcus, not until Wigan abruptly came to her to explain the information about Harcus, as he felt that Selene was very curious about Harcus. According to Wigan, Harcus is an A-rank mercenary and the team leader of the respected Valiant mercenary group's 4th team. To put it simply, he is a capable and skilled individual. Moreover, since he can wield almost all kinds of weapons, he is also referred to as Weapon Master Harcus. He is quite respected among the mercenaries as he values loyalty and trust highly, but he's incredibly cold-hearted and cruel. He would use any means necessary to achieve his goal, and no sword or tears could stop him. Wigan believes that Harcus is someone whom Selene doesn't want to meet and someone she should keep an eye on. There are also other individuals she should pay attention to as per Wigan. It would be the Sonic Whip Isna and the Absolute Defense Emuna sisters. Not just them, but also the undefeated gladiator Geladin. There is also a slightly stupid engineer named Abigail. Wigan continued explaining, not knowing that the second test had started. Everyone moved as fast as they could while Silur asked his teams where they should go. Selene then answered that they were going to go to the forest. Silur was confused, so Selene told him that it was easier to take the direct way. Besides, she believes that planes allow them to prepare for any potential battles. Silur then said that the forest was too dense for Selene to comfortably wield her greatsword technique. Selene then asks him why it would be a problem, and Silur then concludes that it probably won't matter for Selene at all. While they were moving, they saw the team of Leck, who was following the team of Ronia to settle what happened earlier. When Selene looked on the other side, she also saw the team of Ronia. Selene then immediately thinks of a way and then suddenly realizes that this is what rivalry means. Silur and Chloe have different reactions after Selene finally realizes what rivalry means. They suddenly saw a flag, so they headed to the flag's direction, and there were also other teams aiming to get it. But then, Selene ran too fast and screamed, "First come, first serve." Chloe admired Selene for running too fast, while Silur was annoyed by the fact that Selene won't wait for them and just run on her own. At the same time, someone screamed so loud coming from the tunnel. It was a wounded man asking for mercy from Harcus. But then, Harcus killed him. Harcus then headed to another man. It was the undefeated gladiator, Geladin. Geladin was trembling in fear while asking Harcus why he was killing everyone in his team. He thought that it was because of a flag, but then Harcus broke the flag and unleashed his double sword and killed Geladin helplessly. After killing him, Harcus doesn't even feel any guilt. After a few minutes, Selene's team was at the testing site. Silur was reaching for something in a tree hole, and was surprised after getting another flag from the hole. He was so happy while he was sitting at the shoulder of Chloe. Chloe could not believe that Silur really found a flag in the tree, and Selene also asked him how he knew there was a flag there. As per Silur, he had a friend who told him about it. Selene was shocked as she thought Silur was cheating. Silur then said that it was not what he meant. Selene was confused not until Silur summoned a spirit. Selene got excited knowing that spirits are fairy-like beings that frequently appear in hero sagas. The spirit flies away and Selene waves goodbye and concludes that Silur is a spiritist. Silur then said that it's not really, since he hasn't formed a contract with the spirit yet. Still, Selene was amazed by him as he was so close to being a spiritist. She called Silur as Sil, so Silur got surprised and asked her if he heard it right. Selene answered yes and explained that Sil is short of Silur. Silur then understood but was still surprised since it was his first time being called by someone in a different way. "Since we're friends, it's nice to give each other nicknames," Selene said. Silur's face blushed and suddenly walked away to avoid Selene seeing him blush. Chloe and Selene then talked about the spirit, and Selene found out that it's a special ability since Chloe told her that it's rare for spirits to listen to humans. While they were busy talking, a raindrop poked at the head of Shan. Shan then looked at the sky and found out that the sky was getting darker. Chloe then feels that the rain could start pouring anytime. Silur was not aware that it was about to rain since he was still imagining how Selene called him Sil. Selene went to him and asked if they already had 3 flags. Silur then answered yes. They found one when Leck's team faced Ronia's team. Both teams fought earlier, so Selene got a way to steal 1 flag from them. The second flag they got was because of Chloe. Chloe used her holy spirit while blocking 2 students, telling them they would be granted a blessing by the goddess of peace, Irene, if they would hand over the flag to her. but then the two men won't surrender the flag. But in the end, both men were beaten up and Chloe got the flag from them. And the third flag is the flag Silur got from the tree, which leaves them one more to go. Their team was cheering, aiming for the completion of this second test. They continue to explore the place to search for one more flag. After 30 minutes, they found nothing. They already walked for 30 minutes despite that it was raining, but unfortunately didn't get another one. Luckily, Silur saw nearby using the artifact he was holding. They followed the map until they arrived at a tunnel. They then headed inside and Chloe said this tunnel was perfect for them to escape the rain as well. Silur was nervous and wanted to stop them all from entering without making sure that it was safe inside. But then, the three had entered. Chloe then activates a holy light to lighten up the area. She also casts spell buffs to maintain their body temperature. Upon staying for a minute, they were glad that it was quite chilly inside the cave while their body felt warm. They then call Silur to go with them, and Silur realizes that Chloe is a priestess. He decided to come with them since they were a team, and as they were exploring the tunnel, Silur put a sign everywhere to make sure they could still go out. Selene asked him about it, so he told Selene that he was marking the paths they had already taken so they could prevent themselves from getting lost in this cave. He informed Selene that marking a path is a basics of exploration. Selene then decided to do it too. Instead of marking an X, Selene drew her own face and put her name as a sign that she already got to this cave. Silur was surprised as it was unusual to see someone draw her face to use it as a mark. After walking for more minutes, they found water. There are also a bunch of things that look like icicles hanging from the ceiling. And as per Chloe, it's called stalactites. There is also a similar looking thing rising from the ground, and Chloe then said it's called stalagmites. And according to her, if these two are connected, then it's called a stone pillar. While they were discussing, Silur was just looking at them and both Chloe and Selene were happy exploring the cave. They walked more and saw something. Chloe was about to explain what it was, but when they got closer, they realized that these were corpses. The people that were killed by Harcus earlier. Selene and her team got terrified. At the other part of the tunnel, Hubert was waiting for his men to give a report to him. A red-haired lady came and informed him that demonic beasts were currently being summoned throughout the testing site according to Paraban's orders. The hero candidates are being attacked and the number of casualties is increasing. The bald man with Harcus then asked him what's their next plan. And as per Harcus, since the demonic beasts have appeared, the Academy will try to get the situation under control, so he decided to keep the people that the Academy deployed occupied so that the demonic beasts can take down all of the hero candidates when the time they bring them. Another man came and reported to him that there were some hero candidates who found their way into this cave. Harcus immediately activates his dimensional bead that can see a desired place. He then found Selene's team inside the cave. There is no time to waste. Let's take care of them quickly and get moving. Harcus uttered, and he and his team immediately moved, heading in the direction of Selene's team. At the Hero Academy, the Academy's head has deployed all available instructors but still feels anxious because of the instructors' low numbers. Someone knocked on the door of his office and he wondered who it was. He immediately ran to the door and was about to open it. But then, the man instantly opened the door without asking permission, so the head ended up stuck behind the door. "It's been a while, Headmaster," the man uttered. But then, the head was in pain and was annoyed, but his mood instantly changed knowing that this man was a hero. He's Grave, the hero who invaded the demon's castle, and the one who made a deal with Shin, the demon king. Going back to Selene's point of view, their team checked the corpses and found out that it hasn't been too long since these people died. Chloe also checks the weapon that was used to kill one of the dead men, and Silur then says that it must be the doing of a weapon-wielding master. But then, Chloe disagreed with him since they didn't come across any traces of a monster, and monsters also don't have the skill to craft such fine arrows in the first place. Because of the arrow, she believes that the killer is surely a human. Moreover, it was done by a person whose goal was not the flag. Silur was shocked since someone came up on his mind. All of a sudden, Selene deflected the arrow that almost hit Silur. Silur got terrified the moment he confirmed that the killer was really Harcus and his team and were also the one who tried to attack him. "That's an impressive reaction speed," the archer stated. "So you were behind all of this. Why are you doing this?" Selene asked, and the man with Hubert replied, "You're quite curious for someone who will soon turn into a cold corpse." The lady archer named Trish then added that they will think of telling them if they would kneel like a dog and beg them. She said that Selene's team would not understand the divine message from Paraban, but before she could complete her words, Harcus squeezed her face and told her to stop spitting useless words. Trish then apologizes to him, but it's too late since Selene's team already heard clearly what she said. Since Trish mentioned the Paraban, Chloe believes that Harcus and his team are from a dark religion. Shan was shocked upon hearing it, and on the other hand, Harcus didn't respond, but Chloe took his silence as a yes. Selene asked her about the information of the dark religion, and according to Chloe, this religion is a heretic group worshipping demons. They roam the lands committing all kinds of inhuman actions. Chloe also said that the Holy See of Rudin is trying to locate the dark religion's whereabouts, but she never thought she would meet a member in this academy she was entering. After explaining, Selene sums up everything and concludes that Harcus and his team were bad guys. Now that you've found out our identities, we really have no reason to let you live, Harcus stated, and unleashed his weapons and told Selene's team not to resent them too much. Selene still dared to smile and told Harcus that he should not be the one who would look down on them. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you wish to have another part of this recap, please give us at least 2,000 likes. Please don't forget to comment and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Until next time.